Wells Fargo executive trapped in China, criminal investigation explained U.S.-China tensions. In a surprising turn of events, a Wells Fargo executive based in the United States has found herself at the center of a criminal investigation in China, leading to her being barred from leaving the country. This announcement was made by China's foreign ministry on Monday, but they did not provide any specific details regarding the nature of the charges against her or how long she will be restricted from exiting the country. Mao Chenyue, who hails from Shanghai and currently serves as a managing director at Wells Fargo in Atlanta, has had her departure from China halted, as confirmed by Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wu Jiaquan. The Wall Street Journal was the first to report on this situation, citing sources familiar with the matter. In response to the situation, Wells Fargo stated on Friday that they are actively engaging with the appropriate channels to facilitate her return to the United States. However, it remains unclear whether Mao holds an American passport or if she is still a Chinese citizen. A report from Reuters last week indicated that she is indeed a U.S. citizen. During a news briefing, Wu Jiaquan stated, Ms. Mao Chenyue is involved in a criminal case currently handled by Chinese law enforcement authorities and she is subject to exit restrictions in accordance with the law. Chinese and foreigners alike have to abide by Chinese laws. China will protect her lawful rights and interests throughout the investigation. Experts have pointed out that exit bans in China can be imposed with a lower threshold of evidence compared to formal indictments or detentions. The country's expansive national security laws have created a framework where individuals can face travel restrictions for actions that might be perfectly legal in other nations. Since 2018, Beijing has introduced additional laws regarding exit bans, which has led to increased ambiguity about what activities might violate these regulations. While the specific reasons behind the criminal investigation into Mao remain unclear, some experts suggest that such exit bans and investigations can serve as tools for China to exert pressure on adversarial entities, including specific businesses or even the United States. Simona Grano, a China expert at the University of Zurich, remarked, "These are political, tit-for-tat measures that China sometimes can use. It wouldn't be the first time they actually use these kinds of measures exactly at the right moment to send some political signaling or even to blackmail or coerce a country." In a related case, a Chinese-American employee of the U.S. Commerce Department is also facing an exit ban after allegedly failing to disclose his government employment on his visa application. This individual, whose name has not been revealed, was visiting family when the ban was imposed. Reports indicate that there are several dozen Americans, many of whom are of Chinese descent, currently under similar exit bans. The exact number is challenging to determine, as these cases often come to the attention of U.S. authorities through self-reporting, and many individuals only discover they are banned when they attempt to leave the country. These exit bans highlight the growing tensions between Washington and Beijing, particularly as the Trump administration continues to engage in a trade war with China and views the nation as a significant geopolitical competitor. But here's where it gets controversial. Are these exit bans merely a tool for legal enforcement, or do they serve a deeper political agenda? What do you think? Are these actions justified, or do they represent a troubling trend in international relations? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. American bankers banned from travel, safety concerns and hedge fund criticisms. Morning coffee. American bankers face travel bans for their own protection and irate client identifies the only two hedge fund managers he respects. Some statements may seem straightforward, yet they can be deeply unsettling due to their context. For instance, when a spokesperson from the Chinese Foreign Ministry declares, "Everyone in China, whether a citizen or a foreigner, must adhere to Chinese law," it signals that something has gone terribly awry. In a recent incident, Chenyue Mao, a managing director at Wells Fargo specializing in trade finance, has found herself unable to leave China after her recent arrival. The specifics of her visit remain unclear, but her out-of-office reply indicates she is on a business trip, and she has recently been appointed chair of a trade association. This prestigious role may be linked to her current predicament, as Mao, although originally from China, has been based in Atlanta, and Wells Fargo has limited trade finance operations in mainland China. In light of these developments, Wells Fargo has understandably decided to halt all travel to China until they can ascertain the situation and hopefully resolve it. Such travel restrictions can occur from time to time. They do not necessarily indicate any wrongdoing by individuals or companies and are often related to civil litigation or business disputes. Unfortunately, holding a leadership position in a trade association may expose one to the kinds of disputes that can lead to such restrictions. Regardless of the reasons behind this situation, it is undoubtedly distressing for her family and colleagues, serving as a stark reminder that a career in banking can sometimes be perilous. As globalization diminishes and authoritarian tendencies emerge in various countries' immigration and border control policies, many senior bankers may start to reconsider the advantages of virtual meetings and video conferences. In another realm, those who pay fees to hedge fund managers often harbor resentment, though not typically expressed as harshly as in this case. Jagdeep Singh Bakhar, the chief investment officer of the University of California Pension Fund, has recently articulated his decision to eliminate the fund's allocation to alternative investments, describing the experience as essentially 2 decades wasted. He believes he could have avoided all the drama, illiquidity, and exorbitant fees simply by investing in public equities. The modern hedge fund industry has faced a barrage of criticism, including lengthy lockup periods and pass-through fee structures associated with contemporary multi-strategy funds, as well as the extravagant lifestyles of fund managers, characterized by art collections, private jets, and luxurious homes. Bakhar specifically points out that the initial rationale for investing in hedge funds was to safeguard against significant market downturns. However, during the crises of 1999, 2008, and 2020, he asserts, hedge funds didn't hedge us, they exposed us to the opposite kind of risk, which ultimately harmed us. These criticisms of hedge funds are well known, yet they have not deterred other pension funds from increasingly investing in this sector. Interestingly, even Bakhar concedes that some fund managers do justify their fees. He highlights Bill Ackman of Pershing Square and Sir Chris Hohn of TCI as exceptional investors who have consistently made sound decisions. Should he choose to re-enter the hedge fund arena, he might find a more favorable reception from these two funds than from those with whom he has severed ties. Meanwhile, in a curious turn of events, a tech entrepreneur shares his experience of attempting to raise $150 million in debt without the assistance of a banker, and the insights he gained from this endeavor. Surprisingly, the takeaway was not a realization of the necessity of bankers. Instead, it inspired him to develop an AI-native deal room designed to connect companies with private credit markets. There are numerous motivations for pursuing a career in private credit, one of the most compelling being the fact that some individuals are permanently barred from trading in public markets. David Sharp, the former CEO of Bridging Finance, aspires to return to public markets and is currently seeking to have his lifetime trading ban overturned by Canadian regulators. Hao Zhang, known as the godfather of Two Sigma's Techniques team and a former roommate of Citadel Securities CEO Peng Zhao, departed Two Sigma amid last year's upheaval. He now appears to be in the process of launching his own quantitative fund. In what may be one of the most significant contributions from a KYC check in banking history, hackers associated with North Korea managed to siphon over $20 million from the Central Bank of Bangladesh in 2016. Recently, officials at a Sri Lankan correspondent bank were recognized for their vigilance in identifying irregularities, raising the alarm, and ultimately saving a substantial portion of the funds. When forecasting industry trends, it's essential to remember that projections and targets are subjective opinions, while personnel and real estate are concrete facts. Currently, hedge funds are actively seeking agents to lease an unprecedented amount of office space in London, suggesting a promising outlook in that regard. Who is the most criticized employer in Canary Wharf? According to cleaning unions, it is EY. Their contractor plans to lay off 37% of the cleaning staff, leading to protests outside their office building this week. From what we can gather, decisions seem to be based primarily on titles and superficial optics rather than a nuanced understanding of roles, skills, or actual overlaps in responsibilities. It appears that Amazon's AWS manages workforce reductions in a manner strikingly similar to that of a large bank. It may seem peculiar to eliminate your geopolitical risk identification and management team at this juncture. Nevertheless, HSBC is cutting 10 positions in this area globally, seemingly to reduce redundancies. Perhaps this is also due to the fact that the risks have become more overt and easier to identify? If you have a confidential story, tip, or comment to share, please reach out at +44 7537 182250, SMS, WhatsApp, or voicemail. You can also contact via Telegram at Sarah Butcher or Signal, Sarah Butcher .22. Alternatively, click here to fill out our anonymous form or email editortips@financialcares.com. Signal is also available. Please be patient if you leave a comment at the bottom of this article. All comments are moderated by real people. Sometimes these individuals may be unavailable, so it might take a while for your comment to appear. Rest assured, it will eventually be published unless it is deemed offensive or defamatory. Wells Fargo banker blocked in China, what's behind the exit ban? Imagine being stuck in a foreign country, unable to leave, and facing an investigation with little information. This is the reality for Wells Fargo banker Chenyue Mao, who has been barred from exiting China due to her involvement in a criminal case. This move highlights the increasingly tense U.S.-China relations, especially in terms of trade policies and foreign business operations. Mao, a managing director at Wells Fargo, was prevented from leaving China recently. The Chinese Foreign Ministry announced that she was required to cooperate with the authorities in an investigation, although no specific details were provided. This development comes at a challenging time for U.S.-China relations, as both countries engage in diplomatic and business disputes. The case of Mao is not isolated. She is the latest foreign executive to be affected by exit bans in China. Such bans are often used in connection with civil disputes, regulatory investigations, or criminal cases. This raises important questions. What are the implications for foreign businesses operating in China? Should companies be more cautious about sending employees to China, especially if they hold foreign passports? Wells Fargo has been working to secure Mao's return through appropriate channels, but the bank has declined to comment on the matter. The U.S. bank even suspended all travel to China after the incident, reflecting the gravity of the situation. Mao's situation contrasts sharply with her recent success. Just a few weeks ago, she was elected chair of FCI, a group that facilitates international trade through factoring. Factoring involves companies selling their receivables to third parties for immediate cash, a complex process often subject to capital controls. Mao had traveled to China, her birthplace, after her election and was subsequently barred from returning to the U.S. The use of exit bans by China is not new but has become more prevalent. It can be issued by local governments to address various issues, including business disputes or allegations of illegal conduct. Laura Harth, from Safeguard Defenders, notes that such actions can signal that no one is safe when traveling to China, especially if they are involved in any form of investigation. Wells Fargo's presence in China is significantly smaller compared to other major banks, with branches in Beijing and Shanghai. Despite this, the impact of Mao's case on corporate travel to China could be significant, particularly for Chinese-born individuals holding foreign passports. As the U.S. and China navigate strained diplomatic ties, situations like Mao's exit ban highlight the risks and challenges faced by foreign nationals in China. It also prompts questions about the balance between enforcing laws and protecting international business interests. But here's where it gets controversial. Should countries like the U.S. pressure China to relax its exit ban policies, or should they caution their citizens about the potential risks of traveling to China? The dilemma poses a difficult choice between maintaining diplomatic relations and ensuring the safety of foreign nationals. How do you think the U.S. should approach this situation?